Let's talk about it. Position battles. Like I mentioned, man, the Steelers got some battles that are going to go on in training camp, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing, and you'll probably hear me say this from time to time, but, you know, competition is kind of the cornerstone of what makes a good football team. And look, there's a lot of people out there, number one, that love Mike Tomlin. There's a lot of people out there that dislike Mike Tomlin. But I think we can all agree on this when it comes to Mike Tomlin. He runs a good training camp. He's going to get the guys out there. Now, look, we can't have all the padded practices. The NFL Players Association, they've ruled all that stuff out, so you can't have, 2-a-days and just guys beating their heads in anymore. Can't do that. But Mike Tomlin does a really good job of running a training camp and making it a physical and a competitive training camp for guys to go out there and compete. And that's what we want to see. We want to see people compete. So let's get into some of these position battles that we're going to see at camp. Now, the first one that we're talking about, look, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, it's not really a battle. I put this one on here because I think a lot of people want to kind of talk about it, and it should be talked about. But Mike Tomlin pretty much made it clear at the very beginning, when both of them were signed, he said, Russell Wilson, based on his experience, he's got the pole position. Well, pole position was basically saying he's the starter. Now, that doesn't mean Justin Fields can't win the job. Is it likely? No. The one thing that we do know that is true, the reports coming out of camp, and look, these things only get leaked out either by the Steelers or by reporters that are actually watching the practices. Justin Fields didn't look too good in OTAs and in minicamp. He didn't look great. The thing that I think people have to understand and start to come to some fruition about Justin Fields is maybe he's not as good as what his athletic ability is. And I think that sometimes gets lost. Now, does that mean that that's the case? No. Does it mean that once pads get on, Justin Fields might turn into a totally different quarterback and maybe light years better than what we saw at minicamp and OTAs? We hope that it is. But we also have to come to the realization of maybe he's just a backup. It's not the first time that a guy's been drafted this high, that's got ability, that's shown that ability, but for whatever reason, can't get over the hump, can't be a competent starter or a consistent starter in the National Football League. Again, I'm not willing to write off Justin Fields yet. I'm not there, not even close to being there. But we do have to have that as a reality that maybe this is what it is. Having said all of that, this is Russell Wilson's job. This is his job to lose. And I don't even think it's a job to lose. I just think it's his job, for him to lose it, which means he's going to have to play awful. And I said it on the podcast last week. Please go check it out if you haven't already. Playing like he played last year is not awful. That's not what I'm talking about. Again, people that are saying that he played awful last year, that's just an internet narrative that got started for a bunch of people that don't understand football. They don't understand football, because if Russell Wilson played, or better yet, if Kenny Pickett played exactly how Russell Wilson played last year, Kenny Pickett would still be on the team. He'd still be the starter. Fans, coaches, executives, everybody would be super excited. But yet when it's Russell Wilson, he's washed. Give me a break. I don't want to hear it. Russell Wilson's job. And I think he's going to win. Obviously, he's going to win the job. I don't even think it's a real battle. Moving on. And now this one apparently is a real battle. Troy Fautanu and Dan Moore Jr. Look, I think I'm trying to be as nice as possible because I love my Steelers and I love everybody that plays for the Steelers. But look, Troy Fautanu was brought in to play tackle and to play tackle right now. You can say, well, look at Broderick Jones. The first couple of games, he wasn't ready. We don't know that he wasn't ready. He just wasn't out there playing. That doesn't mean he wasn't ready. And once he got out there, didn't he play pretty daggone good last year? Yeah, he did. And why do the Steelers always have to be the team that works in the rookie slow. Why can't we just, hey, this guy's really good. Let's put him out there right now, especially with the Steelers' record schedule at the beginning of the season. Isn't it better to get these guys out there and get them some real-time game reps before we know what that back end of that schedule looks like? I think we do. Yeah, we do. And having said that, he's a better talent than Dan Moore Jr. Now, look here, people. I'm not going to continue to just bash Dan Moore Jr. That's unproductive. But we can speak the truth about him. Dan Moore Jr. hasn't played a very good left tackle. Broderick Jones is now the left tackle, and he was brought here for that reason. Dan Moore Jr. said, yeah, I view myself as a left tackle. So that's telling you he doesn't want to play right tackle. He tried to do it. He said he's not very good at it. He's not comfortable at playing right tackle. And we have a rookie, Troy Fautanu, who has played right tackle, wants to play right tackle, told the Steelers in his pre-draft interview he felt more comfortable playing right tackle. If Dan Moore Jr. beats out Fautanu for the right tackle spot, we got problems, Steeler fans. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm just saying it. If Dan Moore Jr., a guy who doesn't want to play the position, has told you he's not any good at it, if he beats out the guy that wants to play it and is more comfortable there and has more talent, the Steelers are in trouble on that. Oh, my goodness. I don't even want to talk about it. You know how bad that would be? It would just be awful. Awful. Because we know what we're going to get with Dan Moore Jr., man. You can say whatever you want about, oh, well, he's got all the experience. He does. But it wasn't good. It just wasn't. And that's why we brought in the guys that we brought in. It wasn't for them to sit on the bench. You're not bringing in first-round offensive line draft picks for them to sit behind a guy that we've seen play that isn't that good. Sorry, that's just the way that it is. We got to have Fautanu win this job. Period. End of story. And I actually think he will. Now to another big battle. Slot corner. Whoo! Things heated up after Cam Sutton got suspended. Now, it's not like we didn't think he was going to get suspended. We knew he was going to get suspended. But it's more of, what does it look like? What does the team look like after that? Well, we got some names here. These are the people that I believe are in the running. Now, there might be some other people out there that may get into the running, but I don't think so. I think these are the guys, man. I think it's Beanie Bishop, Corey Trice Jr., and Ryan Watts. I think those are the guys. I've been on record. I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. I think Ryan Watts can be that guy. I think he's a big physical guy, and I think he's got a quick twitch. I also said that I think safety might be his best position, but I think he can play some slot corner. If he can, I think he wins the job. Corey Trice Jr., look, man, without the injuries, a lot of people were talking about how his grade was better than Joey Porter Jr.'s. I mean, those are just facts. Now, granted, injuries count as part of the grade, and lo and behold, again, he came to Pittsburgh and he got hurt. But if he's not hurt and can play, I like it. I like it. And he's got a shot. He is he is definitely the best when you're talking about the three. Beanie Bishop, I didn't have him on the roster when we did our 53-man roster a few weeks back. I didn't have him making the team. Now that we know how long and what Cam Sutton, his suspension is, yeah, I got Beanie Bishop making the team. Is he going to win this job? I don't think so, but don't count him out. Don't count him out. I mean, he's fiery, feisty, and he's a good football player. He is. Little short, but you know what? Sometimes short corners can play, especially at that position. You know, we saw Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton wasn't a skyscraper, and he was a damn good slot corner for the Steelers. So maybe Beanie Bishop is in that mold. I don't know. I still am on record. I like Ryan Watts, man. I do. I want to see him win that job. Wide receiver number 2 is next, man. Oh, my goodness. Now, this one can be tricky. You got Roman Wilson. You got Van Jefferson. You got Calvin Austin III. You also have a trade possibility, okay? All those options are out there. Now, two that are not, Scotty Miller, Quez Watkins. Look, it's not that I forgot them. So I know people are going to say, hey, you forgot about them, Beat. No, I didn't forget. They're just not wide receiver 2. That's all. They're not in the running. If they're our wide receiver 2, we're in trouble. And a lot of guys got hurt. That's what I'll say. So they're slot receivers. I'm not saying they can't play or don't have a place on the team. I'm just saying at the wide receiver 2 spot. Now, I know you guys have heard me say this over and over again, and I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's important. Roman Wilson needs to win this job. Now, whether he does or not, I don't know, because, again, at minicamp and OTAs, he looked like a rookie. He did. He looked like a rookie that was just trying to get his feet wet and make sure that he was doing the right things. Well, camp is not the time. You got to turn it on. And we know how physical of receiver he is. And I said this last week. Maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs to get popped in the mouth one good time with pads on so he can understand it's time to go, young man. And maybe minicamp and OTAs was literally just that, for him to get, I don't know, the cobwebs shaken loose. Hopefully he does. And then he can start playing fast and physical because he's a very physical receiver. Van Jefferson right now, as reports have it, looks like he's the odds-on favorite, or at least he's the guy in the clubhouse right now that has the job. Wouldn't be mad about that. Wouldn't be mad. A couple seasons back, Van Jefferson was a very productive receiver, won a Super Bowl. Injury bug kind of bit him the last couple of years, but if he's healthy, it's not a horrible option. Look, Calvin Austin the third, that's the guy. I mean, we're talking about a gadget guy, possibly a guy that can take the top off of a defense, super fast. If his route running is there, and I believe that it is, and he gets in this offense. Look, Arthur Smith offense is almost tailor-made, not just for him, for all of these guys. Yeah, I can see it. I like this battle. I like this battle. Again, there's also the fourth option, the trade. If either of these three can't get the job done, we still have an opportunity to trade. Say we're 2-3 weeks into camp and camp's almost over and we're like, hey man, this ain't going to work. These guys, we got to go get somebody else. That option's still out there. It's still available, which is why camp is so important. You get guys out there, you see what they can do. They see if they can figure it out. If they can't, then we got to go get a guy. And it's probably going to be costly because if you're trading in camp, you know you don't have something. Teams know you don't have something, and they're going to hold you hostage a little bit. You know, and that's kind of the thinking of, well, why didn't you do this earlier? Why didn't you go get a guy earlier? I mean, it is what it is, people. At this point, it just kind of is what it is. But I like that. In that option, I want Roman Wilson to win the job. That's who I am rooting for to win that job. Now, lastly here, as far as position battles, here's one that is going way under the radar for Steeler fans. Peyton Wilson and Elandon Roberts. Look, Elandon Roberts did everything he could last year for us. Played well. Let's not kid ourselves. He played well. And he is not the best cover guy. He's not the most athletic guy, but an extremely good tackler and a thumper. But when he was asked to cover guys last year, he did an admirable job. But look, let's not beat around the bush. Peyton Wilson is miles more athletic than he is. His upside is through the roof. It just is. And the quicker that he can get on the field, in my opinion, the better the Pittsburgh Steelers are. Don't talk to me about injuries. I don't want to hear that. He's played 2 full seasons of football. He hasn't been injured. I don't want to hear that. Okay? The thing that I know is this guy got drafted. It was one of the steals of the draft. You get the best middle linebacker in the draft at the end of the 3rd round. When does that ever happen? It doesn't. People scared off by injury. Okay, he's played. I mean, guys get hurt in football. It's the way it works. I don't think we should be afraid of that. I think his upside is just so much more than Elandon. And again, we're not knocking Elandon. We just think that Peyton is better here at Steelers Almighty. I would love to see him win that job. I like Peyton Wilson. I do.